I think all of us would love to know what's just around the corner. We'd all love to know what's going to happen next in the world, in our lives. And it's just kind of a need to know about the unknowable. And I think this story flirts with what if we had the chance to know certain things about the future, especially things that come under the heading of life and death.
I'm placing you under arrest for the future murder of Sarah Marks. Give the man his hat.
My plots tend to come from character more than from any kind of conceptual place. So I really just thought about who the people were, and I thought about what kind of people would embrace this kind of system for starters, what kind of people would fall prey to this kind of system, and how would it ever get started. And I sort of worked backwards from there. And I thought a lot about loss and forgiveness and people who had for example, the Anderton character had lost his son to a murder.
The fact that you prevent it from happening doesn't change the fact that it was going to happen. That's the thing that I think was really smart, I think that Steven did, which is making the world accessible, something that that's different but that we could still relate to, something that is in the future but not, you know, it's not to the extent of something that people go, oh, I don't recognize that. You see the old and the new.
This wasn't being set at 300 years into the future. It was this whole story is set in the foreseeable future of about 52 years from now. And I didn't think we would have to reinvent a society to be able to portray society a half a century hence. So I thought it would be a good idea to bring some of the best minds in technology, environment, you know, crime fighting, medicine, health, social services, transportation, computer technology, into a room to discuss what will a half a century be from now be like.
Look at them. Look at how peaceful they all seem. But on the inside, busy, busy, busy. Okey pokey. Now that is one bad man.
Originally, when we were developing it, we held what we call a think tank. We called it a think tank, and we had like 20 futurists come in from all over the world, and we spent 4 days talking to them about how they saw the future, 40 to 80 years from now, because we weren't quite sure where we wanted to place it. And Steven said at that time that he really wanted to make a picture that was a future reality picture, not a science fiction picture.
The way to make this kind of technology go down realistically with an audience today is to throw it away, is to force the audience to take the technology we showed them for granted by having so much of it in the movie. I mean, there's 450 digital effect shots in the film, but it's not Star Wars Episode 2, nothing like that, where George created an entire world digitally. These were just sort of, we created the computers digitally. We put things on screens. We put things in people's eyes. We basically tried to throw so much information at our characters by having so much access to billboards that are interactive living billboards and computer screens that are just like pieces of glass that you wonder, where's the memory chip? It's all inside the glass.
2-1 Gainsborough. Set up a perimeter and tell them we're en route. Steven always wanted this screen where I'm reading and picking out the information from the precogs, where the information goes from Agatha into a big computer, and I get the pictures, and I have to separate the pictures and figure out what it is I'm looking at and where this place is, and just glean the information from the images that Agatha gives us. So Steven wanted to create this dance and this specific hand movements and language that, you know, computer language, but bring it and make it physical.
You say something, Chief?
No.
During the think tank process, we brought in a man from MIT named John Undercuffler, who taught us, and taught Tom Cruise specifically, these kind of hand signs. And these hand signs were a way of manipulating the images from the precogs on this big glass board in the analytical room at pre-crime. And because what the pre-crime cops have to do is they get the time of the murder, they get the date and second of the murder, they get imagery from the murder scene, but they don't get the address. The actual address doesn't come on the screen. So what John Anderton is so expert at is looking at all the images within 200 miles of where he physically is in the District of Columbia and figuring out where the crime is going to take place.
Okay, Jed, what's coming?
Red Ball, double homicide, 1 male, 1 female. Killer's male, white, 40s.
No, I didn't do any research into the body language of a precog, because you kind of can't, you have to invent it. And every moment that you act is a new moment in time. So I just let it all flow. Whatever's going to happen, happens. Nothing prepares you for acting like underwater or in water and having to be that intense, and safety and you know, all the elements of, you know, technical elements and everything. It's hard, but you feel a sense of achievement when you've done it. But I'm really glad to be out of that tank. I really am.
The one thing I heard Steven say when we were working on the script was, I don't want people to be able to go to a restaurant afterwards and go, oh, but see, that wouldn't really have happened. He really wanted to weave a psychological thriller. I think early on in the development of the script, wished really bad he hadn't signed on to try to do that, because he found it a very daunting task, that complicated of a story. And also said many times during the shooting of it that it's the most complicated film he's ever made. And I agree.